St. Michael's Academy, where a dynamic curriculum meets enriched learning, where morals are instilled and confidence is boosted, where lasting relationships are nurtured, and safety is priority. St. Michael's Academy.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel, celebrating the 10th anniversary of St. Michael's Academy in Springfield. Rebecca Drake will give us a glimpse at the current edition of the Catholic Mirror, and a shroud encounter, an unforgettable big screen experience coming to the Newman Center in Amherst. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel, coming to you today from St. Michael's Academy in Springfield. This diocesan elementary school was established just over 10 years ago. Over the past decade, it has not always been easy as the school survived a natural disaster that devastated its campuses just a few years after its opening. But St. Michael's Academy persevered and today has grown to become the largest Catholic school in Western Massachusetts. Steve Kiltonick visited the campus and has this report.
St. Michael's Academy opened August 31st, 2009, as reported on Reel to Reel's Back to School special.
We hope your summer was a restful one.
We do, but people around here were not getting much rest at all. The construction crews were busy transforming an unused wing of Cathedral High School into St. Michael's Middle Campus, the former Holy Cross School into the elementary campus, and a former convent on Wendover Road into the preschool Discovery Center.
At the three St. Michael's Academy campuses, the year started with staggered openings for the 800-plus pre-K to 8th grade students. The Academy was established earlier that year with the merging of the diocese's 5 parish legacy elementary schools: Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, Holy Cross, Holy Name, and Our Lady of Hope. After nearly 2 full academic years, students and faculty were still settling in when everything changed on June 1st, 2011. No one was prepared for the EF3 tornado, which struck Springfield with winds of 160 miles per hour as it crossed the Connecticut River. Carving a path through the city and surrounding towns, the tornado damaged many homes and businesses, devastating the middle school campus at Cathedral High and the pre-K across the street. Although there were some teachers and students inside both schools when the tornado hit in the late afternoon, miraculously, no one was hurt. Bishop Timothy McDonald was on the scene shortly after the tornado passed. After the initial shock, Bishop McDonald and diocesan school officials gathered to announce plans for the recovery efforts and immediate future. After the tornado, all 3 Academy campuses united under one roof at the Holy Cross Middle School on Eddywood Street, which has remained its home ever since. Over the past 8 years, St. Michael's Academy has remained a viable and engaging environment for learning. That legacy was celebrated on September 29th, the feast of St. Michael the Archangel, with a special Mass held at Holy Cross Church to commemorate the Academy's 10th anniversary. It was a packed house as Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rodzansky concelebrated the Mass with Father David Darcy, pastor of Holy Cross, along with several other priests and deacons. The Mass began on the altar, where the entire student body gathered to sing Everyday God. During the opening procession, 3 historical items were presented. Sister Andrea Suzuki, the diocesan superintendent when the Academy opened, carried a schoolhouse image signifying the 14 original Springfield Catholic elementary schools. A copy of the 5-year strategic plan was presented by its chair, Josephine Rodriguez. And St. Michael's Academy's first annual report was placed on the altar by C. Brian McDonald, the chairman of the Board of Trustees. Ann Dougal has been principal of St. Michael's Academy since 2010. After the tornado, the Academy put together its first strategic plan, Ignite and Achieve Excellence 2017. Over 80 people, including faculty, board members, parents, and parish community, gave their input on academics, Catholic identity, facilities, finance, technology, and student life.
It has proven to be a roadmap for us. It was a 5-year strategic plan. It helped us right out of the block. We started an admissions and an advancement position at our school. And that started to concentrate on reaching out to the community, getting people involved. We started the Fund for St. Michael's Academy. We're able to purchase smart boards for each one of our classrooms, laptops for our teachers, so really strengthen that part of the curriculum.
A main objective of the plan was to re-energize the school and keep Catholic education alive in Springfield.
I always tell the kids we have no dead weight at St. Michael's Academy. Everybody needs to do their part. The teachers work hard, the students work hard, the administration works hard, our parents work hard.
Although the school has undergone dramatic change and growing pains during its 10-year existence, the mission has remained the same.
We're working to educate children in a Christ-centered environment where they learn to have a relationship with God while delivering a rigorous academic program. And we're educating the whole child.
Faith has always been a strong component of Catholic education, and at St. Michael's, God is at the center. In Karen Warbington's second grade, prayer begins each class.
Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love entrusts me here, ever this day be at my side, to light and guard, to rule and guide. Amen.
From the time that they come in the morning to the time they leave, we're constantly talking about our faith, constantly asking them to make good choices.
At St. Michael's, the student body reflects Springfield's diverse culture.
We have all sorts of children who come here of different ethnic backgrounds. We feel it's a strength in our building that these children are sitting side by side, they're learning about different cultures.
In addition to strong academics, St. Michael's offers enrichment programs in music and the arts. As a result of its partnership with the Community Music School, there's a drumming program for third graders, which culminates with a performance for parents.
We've also started a violin program for our second graders. There's a group that practices throughout the year.
In addition, students in each grade invite their grandparents to school to experience various events and activities throughout the year. The Buddy program matches fourth graders with first graders. Each pair works together on fun activities.
It's just a nice way for our older kids to be good models for the younger kids, to teach our older kids responsibility for the younger kids. And, they really enjoy it.
One of the big fundraisers is the annual walkathon.
So the kids will go out and get pledges and donations to help support our school. And then in the morning on Friday, our kids each have about a half hour. They walk outside and do laps around the buildings. A lot of parents will take time off from work just to help line the route, cheer the kids along.
Julie Nicolello is a sixth grade ELA, grammar, and literature teacher. She's been at St. Michael's for 5 years. Julie's in charge of the student council. She instills in her students the need to give back to the community.
When there is a natural disaster, the student council kids do want to get together. We should do something. We should raise money for people who were hurt by the hurricane, or they do feel that they need to help others. And we raise money so that we can help the Gray House, that we can help the rescue mission of Springfield. Karen
Warbington has been at St. Michael's since its founding.
St. Michael's is a wonderful place to be. I look forward to coming into work every day. We have great faculty, staff, the students. It's just a very happy, joyful place, very family-oriented.
Some recent graduates returned for the anniversary Mass. At the reception, they spoke about their St. Michael's experience. Emma Feely graduated in 2017.
It definitely made me the person I am today, and it absolutely brought me closer to God while doing that and prepared me for high school as well. And I think that people here care about your education and they care about your well-being, and they're all very welcoming.
Sarah Zalai spent her elementary and middle school years at St. Michael's. In 2017, she appeared on Reel to Reel as a co-host giving a tour of the school.
This place has really been like one big family for me. Everyone is just so connected, and it's really a great place to be. All of the teachers and everybody here is always so caring, so they always make sure that you're learning, and they're always willing to extend the extra helping hand to you. Since the day I first walked into this building, I have felt the presence of Jesus in me the whole time, and I feel like my relationship between myself and God has grown ever since that first day.
This past year, St. Michael's lost a beloved faculty member, Sister Ruth Virginia Quinn. Sister Quinn started to volunteer at the middle campus in 2009. She tutored one-on-one or in small groups.
But she was also our #1 cheerleader. She would show up for every event that we had all the time. And she was always there cheering the children on, eternally grateful for her. And the part that she played in really moving the mission along and getting the mission out to others.
The 10th anniversary year is being celebrated through 3 events. In addition to the anniversary mass, in June a cornhole tournament was held at nearby Nathanville Park.
It was a new event, so we didn't have enormous amounts of crowds, but we had a nice, healthy group of people, some alumni, some parents, some current students, some friends of St. Michael's Academy, and we had a fun time over there.
The third and concluding event takes place on October 26th with the Anniversary Gala. As for the future, Ann is confident St. Michael's will continue to grow and prosper.
We'd like to be completely filled to capacity because we have an education to offer, and we know that every child who comes through here is touched by that and grows from that.
In his concluding remarks, Bishop Rosansky expressed his wish for the current and future graduates of St. Michael's Academy.
Let us ask God to continue to bless us, that in the Catholic education received here, our students may be change agents in our society and in our world, taking what they have learned here and bringing it out beyond the walls of St. Michael's Academy.
St. Michael, we stand together with you. St. Michael, we stand together with you.
For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
And joining me now is Phyllis Lund, Advancement Director here at St. Michael's Academy. And congratulations on your 10th anniversary.
Thank you so much. We are very, very excited.
I know, you've been through so much here in the last 10 years with the tornado, but you all rallied and now it's better than ever.
It really is. We have been through quite a bit and we're thrilled to be at this point right now.
I bet you are. And you have a lot to celebrate. You're going to be having a gala.
We are, as a matter of fact. On October the 26th, we have our 10th anniversary gala planned right here in the gym, 6 o'clock. We're going to be honoring 3 different couples. We'll have a live auction, a silent auction. It's going to be catered by Elegant Affairs. We're extremely excited.
Oh, it sounds great. And I bet a lot of people that maybe went to school here would like to come, current parishioners. You must have a big guest list.
We do. And if you are still interested in purchasing a ticket, please contact the school. We do still have tickets available, and we would love to have you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having us today, and good luck to you with everything.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and still to come on Real to Real, Rebecca Drake will give us a glimpse at the current edition of the Catholic Mirror, and we'll preview the Shroud Encounter, a moving presentation on the Shroud of Turin, which will be making its return visit to the Newman Catholic Center at UMass Amherst. These stories and more are still to come on Real to Real.
Give thanks to the
Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Carolee McGrath, inviting you to join us this Sunday morning. We welcome Mary and Father John Larson as our Mass presider and welcome members of the Catholic Charismatic Movement. The Chalice of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday mornings at 10 on WWLP and coming up next in the Berkshires on Fox 23, WXXA.
St. Michael's Academy, where a dynamic curriculum meets enriched learning, where morals are instilled and confidence is boosted, where lasting relationships are nurtured, and safety is priority. St. Michael's Academy.
The beautiful, busy season of autumn has returned to the Springfield Diocese, and amid the whirlwind of schoolwork, sports, choir practice, and fall festivals, the Catholic Church gives us a gift, a month dedicated to the Rosary. To celebrate this cherished prayer, the cover story in the October issue of the Catholic Mirror highlights the ministry of the Dominican nuns of the Monastery of the Mother of God in West Springfield. A place of peace that sits on a hillside above a busy commercial district, the monastery is the site of the nuns' perpetual rosary and perpetual adoration devotions, and is a spiritual treasure of the Springfield Diocese. In this particular month of October, the Catholic Church also celebrates the canonization of Cardinal John Henry Newman, the inspiration for Newman Catholic centers on college campuses, including the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. A special report on this new saint is in this issue. The Year for Vocations series continues with a report on a meeting between the diocese's oldest priest and the 3 newly ordained, and 2 local men who are members of religious communities. And did you know that a Springfield bishop once banned parades and dancing on St. Patrick's Day? Find out who that bishop was and how the diocese survived the 1929 stock market crash and World War II in Part 3 of the 150th Anniversary History Series. This month's parish angel is Lennox parishioner Carol Kirby, whose many behind-the-scenes ministries help keep the parish alive and well. And Bishop Rosansky, a Baltimore native, has praise for New England's fall season, the Dominican nuns' life of prayer, and the work of one of his predecessors. As rosary devotions continue during the month dedicated to this prayer of peace and petitions, may our Mother Mary lead us ever closer to her Son Jesus and guide us to the coming season of Advent and the mystery of the Word made flesh. At the editor's desk, I'm Rebecca Drake.
Thanks, Rebecca. In news from the diocese this past week, it was announced that the diocesan policy over requiring criminal background checks, known by the acronym of CORI checks, has been revised. And joining me now to explain is Jeffrey Trant, Director of the Office of Safe Environment and Victim Assistance for the Diocese of Springfield. Thanks for joining us today, Jeff.
Good to be with you, Sharon.
So can you start out by telling us what is a CORI and how does it fit into our safe environment efforts?
First, let's talk about what our safe environment is. The Diocese of Springfield is fully committed to ensuring that children, youth, and other vulnerable persons who worship or study or participate in activities that are sponsored by churches, schools, and other ministries do so in the safest and most secure setting possible. Our Safe Environment program has 4 parts. First, a code of conduct for clergy, staff, and volunteers in positions of trust. Second, training for all adults who work with children and vulnerable persons on recognizing and responding to signs of abuse. Third, a training program for children that includes age-appropriate materials on personal safety that conforms to Catholic teaching. And fourth, regular background screening. CORI is a background record check process that is used throughout Massachusetts for organizations, such as the diocese, to obtain information on criminal histories to help inform decisions about hiring and who is approved to work in positions of trust on behalf of the diocese. It is also important to mention that if someone has a criminal history, they are not automatically disqualified from working or volunteering. We follow criteria established by the Massachusetts Department of Criminal Justice Information Services to determine suitability.
All right, so what has changed now?
The Office of Safe Environment and Victim Assistance recently completed a review of the diocese CORI policy because there was a lack of clarity and consistency in our policy statements. The new policy clearly describes who is required to complete a CORI check because of their work on behalf of the diocese, either as a member of clergy or religious orders, paid staff, and as an educator or as a volunteer. What has changed in the policy is the requirements for volunteers. The new policy requires that all volunteers who have direct and/or unmonitored contact with children, youth, persons with disabilities, adults ages 60 and older, or any other vulnerable population to have a CORI check completed before they begin volunteering and every 3 years if they are still volunteering. This change removes the universal requirement for all volunteers and provides specific guidance on what type of volunteer work requires CORI.
And all of this is listed at diospringfield.org.
It's listed online and we encourage you to check it out.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Jeff, and we wish you success in undertaking this important effort.
Good to be with you, Sharon.
And again, that information is available both at diospringfield.org and through a link at iobserve.org. Now to the Vatican, where 1 week ago Pope Francis convened a synod of bishops for the Amazon. He called this synod because of the unique challenges and hardships facing Catholics in that region of the globe.
Pope Francis joined Amazonian church workers and indigenous people on October 4th to plant a tree in the Vatican gardens. The event marked the feast of St. Francis of Assisi. He also consecrated the Synod for the Amazon to St. Francis. The Synod will be held at the Vatican from October 6th through October 27th. About 20 delegates from Amazonian countries opened the ceremony, singing and dancing around a mandala of Amazonian symbols. The symbols included a banner with a photograph of Sister Dorothy Stang, a missionary from Dayton, Ohio, who was murdered in Brazil in 2005 because of her defense of small farmers' land rights. Members of various church groups brought offerings of soil from symbolic places, including the Amazon, which has a rich cultural heritage but is also a land where martyrs have died. Soil also came from India, a country vulnerable to climate change, countries where people are trafficked or forced to migrate, places where young people participate in climate change demonstrations, and the Shrine of the Renunciation in Assisi.
Reel to Reel had the opportunity to hear Bishop Brzezinski's thoughts on the Synod.
Well, from our perspective here in the United States, where church is so available to us in so many ways, the nearness of our churches to our people, the amount of priests that we have to serve our parishes, even though we experience a bit of a shortage, the people in the Amazon may only experience the sacraments once or twice a year through the presence of a priest. And so the Amazon Synod is really seeking to look at the circumstances in which the people there practice their faith, looking at the availability of priests and deacons and religious men and women to serve them, and to see what can we do as a church to bring them the sacraments in a better way, in a way in which they can regularly receive them. And I think that that is what needs to be addressed at the Synod on the Amazon, the presence of Jesus to the people, especially in the Eucharist.
And for all the latest news about the Synod on the Church in the Amazon, log on to iobserve.org. And finally today, the Shroud of Turin is a centuries-old linen cloth that bears the image of a crucified man, a man that millions believe to be Jesus of Nazareth. In a story that we first brought you back in March of 2018, Holy Family Parish in South Deerfield hosted a traveling exhibit, Shroud Encounter, presented by international expert Russ Brough. It will be making a return visit to our diocese later this month. More on that shortly, but first, here's the story David Martin shared with us back in March of 2018.
Is the Shroud of Turin the most important archaeological artifact ever found, or is it simply a medieval fake? With these questions in mind, a crowd of more than 100 gathered for the Shroud Encounter, a big screen production making the passion and resurrection of Jesus come to life. There were no eyewitnesses on that day more than 2,000 years ago. Answers to questions of how and why and where come from scripture verses, says Shroud Encounter founder Russ Peralt.
They all involve light. You know, for instance, the Mount of Transfiguration, which occurred about 6 months before Jesus was crucified. You know, Peter, James, and John were at the bottom of the hill. Jesus goes up to the top of the hill, and the scripture says, and he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun itself, and his clothing became white as light.
Perrault, recognized as a leading expert on the Shroud of Turin, has been offering his theories on the resurrection for more than 25 years, always looking to prove the doubting Thomas wrong.
Here we are in the 21st century. We communicate more with images than we do with words. So it makes me wonder whether this was preserved for this time in human history. And at a very skeptical age, a very scientific age.
April Helenek, who teaches 9th grade CCD at Blessed Sacrament Parish in Greenfield, looks at the Shroud experience as an evangelization tool.
It's really easy for me to evangelize with things like the Shroud because I can give them more than just, you know, God is good and come to church. I can say, you know, this isn't just our opinion. There's also some factual science behind our faith.
The Shroud of Turin is the most analyzed artifact in the world, yet still remains a mystery. Pope Francis called it an icon of Christ's great love for humankind. Using a CSI approach, the audience is taken on an adventure through church history, ancient art, modern science, and medical forensics. Images from the Shroud on display included a full-size museum-quality replica. Demonstrations like the pattern of blood stains on the Shroud offered correlations with the crucifixion.
Here's the back of the head with scrapes and blood flows all around the back of the head. Come down here, we see scourge marks crisscrossing the body in 2 directions, over 120 scourge marks to be counted on the body.
Is this the image of Jesus? Perrault says there are no traces of paint or dye or pigmentation, and the blood on the cloth is from actual wounds.
It just makes it more convincing for me that this is real, that our God is real, and that, like Russ said, he's left us a mark to show us that this is for real.
The Shroud of Turin is an itemized record of the payment Christ made to purchase salvation for all, Perrault concluded. A receipt stamped in blood that says paid in full. For Real to Real, I'm David Martin.
And the Shroud presentation will be coming to the Newman Catholic Center at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst on October 17th at 7 p.m. Join with Newman for this remarkable presentation. All are welcome to attend, and there's no registration necessary. A free will offering will be taken up. And in other diocesan upcoming events, popular singer-songwriter Vince Ambrosetti will be making a return visit to St. Mary's Church in Longmeadow, October 18th through the 23rd. He will be offering a music reading session for any parish choir in the diocese on October 18th, then a concert on Sunday, October 20th. And it concludes with a 3-evening mission, October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. All events begin at 7 p.m. and take place in St. Mary's Church on Route 5 in Longmeadow. We have a link with more information at iobserve.org. And for this week, that's Real to Real. Thanks so much for watching today, and thanks to Principal Ann Dougal and everyone here at St. Michael's Academy for welcoming us today. We wish you well on this 10-year milestone. Remember, for more updates anytime, you can find information and news on the Catholic Church, both here in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world on our news and information site, iobserve.org. We also are on Facebook, and we update that daily while our reporters are working on stories for Real to Real, so check us out and friend us at Catholic Communications. And before we close, we want to send our best wishes for speedy recoveries to our colleagues Brother Terrence Scanlon and Kathy Harrington, both on the mend from recent surgeries. All of us here at Catholic Communications send our best wishes. And we will see you next week for another edition of Real to Real, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.